Alright, it's time for another episode of In Between Days. I just released a video that got a little bit long, talking only about Monday. So I'm going to hope to make this one a little bit shorter. I don't think people are going to be into super long videos just from the feedback and analytics. But we're going to talk about Tuesday's episode of Days of Our Lives right now. And then we're probably going to reconvene here near the end of the week, and we'll talk about Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday this week, and we'll get into like a little bit more of a pattern as things go on. I like to do a beginning one, a midweek one, and an end one, but I think we're going to switch it up a little bit this week. But before I get into any more chitty chat that isn't chat and chowder about Days of Our Lives, I'm going to refrain because we've got a lot to go through. Once again, maybe not as much as our last episode, but let's see what we can all get into, and then I'm going to change up the format a little bit, and I'm just going to do chunks of storyline at a time involving whoever, instead of going through the whole episode as we have this week. But this still works too. So let's get into it. Paulina was talking to herself at the beginning of the episode about plans for the Horton Square. Obviously she's up to something shady, and she doesn't want Chanel to know. She doesn't want Abe to know. She's not keeping things on the up and up. She's keeping things on the down low, and there's some sneakiness going on, and I'm afraid that her plans are to just bulldoze the entire square. And my goodness, can you imagine if she gets away with that plaque of Tom and Alice being uprooted out of the ground? And I think that would be complete chaos. I think there would be, for the first time, protests and riots and political demonstrations in the town square. I think the Bradys and the Hortons and many other people would be completely furious, and they would probably lie down in front of the bulldozers, like on The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. When somebody's lying in front of the bulldozer, please don't. Anyway, so we have, let's see, Lonnie is talking to Abe about Paulina and Chanel and all of that, and you can imagine that was a little bit awkward. Eli is shown at home prancing around naked again, even though we just had that whole incident with Chanel walking in on him, and Chanel walks in on him again. Eli, please, man, put some clothes on. Gwen tries to leave with her pills. She's leaving the Horton house, but Xander is actually awake, and he says, "Where do you think you're going?" Once again, after the day's intro of this episode, Xander again wants details. He wants answers from Gwen. What is the true story? What is going on there? Eli is lecturing Chanel at his house about what is she still doing there? Why is she not finding a job? Why is she sleeping in? But then she shows him her business proposal. She happens to be in her sleeping robe, morning robe. Eli is very scantily dressed, and they sit on the couch together to look over this business proposal, and you can see where this is going. We get a flashback of Paulina thinking about the square and all of that, and Paulina says to herself in the present that she may feel a little bit guilty, but it's just business. We get Trip and Allie talking again, and Trip asks Allie out to dinner. Trip and Kayla are talking, and he says that perhaps she's interested in somebody else because he's getting mixed signals from Allie. I think at that point Allie had turned down the dinner. We get a little bit more with Chanel and Eli, and then we get Paulina and Abe brings the twins. Abe brings Lonnie and Eli's twins to see Abe, and he's very Abe brings the twins to see Paulina, and she's very happy about that, and very happy to see them. Marlena is on the phone in her office. Allie goes in to see her, and Allie is going to see Marlena to talk about how she's finding it hard to move on, and she's got these flashbacks of what happened between her and Charlie, and that happened when she was trying to kind of be intimate with Trip, and she wants to know what to do about it. Trip is talking to Kayla in a similar way and telling Kayla about Allie's memories. Kayla went through something similar, so he gently tries to ask her for any advice, and Kayla tells him she thinks he already knows what to do, just take it slow, give her time. Abe and Paulina are still talking, and Paulina doesn't believe in Chanel, or so she says. Xander and Gwen are still arguing, and that continues. Trip and Kayla discuss Allie and Sierra, because Trip for a time was with Sierra, and if you remember, Sierra was unfortunately raped by Chase. And when Julie was talking about all the nasty things that have happened on the Horton house couch lately, for example, Xander lying on it naked, I was thinking, well, that couch has seen a lot more darker things under another writing regime. I think it was the Dina Hidgley regime that wrote the Chase raping Sierra on the Horton house couch. And was that necessary? I think it was an unforgivable storyline. Not needed. Way too dark. Just, I don't know where some of these writers came up with some of this stuff. Allie and Marlena, they're talking about Trip and Chanel, and, you know, Allie's got feelings for Trip. She's kind of got feelings for Chanel, but those are mostly friendship, according to Allie, all the time. But I don't think it's that complete way on the other side of things. We're going to continue to go on. We've got more Chanel and Eli. Eli with no shirt still on. Lanny comes home and gives the evil eye to Chanel, and she's basically like, make space, and you know, not too happy about them sitting all close together like that. Something weird going on there. Paulina and Abe are still chatting about, you know, Chanel and all of that. We know Paulina's up to no good. She's shady. She's doing something other than what she told Abe. She's misrepresenting her intentions for the town square, for the Horton Square. That's definitely obvious. Abe's talking to Marlena about Chanel. Trip and Kayla are talking about Dr. Snyder, and Trip tells Kayla what some of the things that he saw that were a little bit strange. He saw Dr. Snyder kind of take Gwen aside into a private room, somebody he's supposed to be caring for, and it looked like he was berating her or threatening her. So now Kayla knows about that. And speaking of catching on to Dr. Snyder, we've still got Xander questioning Gwen, and he wants to help Gwen. Gwen doesn't really want the help because she thinks it'll just lead to worse things, and that Jack will have to be involved, and that's exactly what she doesn't want. Dr. Snyder calls Gwen, and Xander is lurking around the corner, and he hears the whole phone conversation, and then he becomes privy to the fact that it is Dr. Snyder who is somehow blackmailing Gwen. And Dr. Snyder on the phone says, you are late delivering those pills, and if you don't do it, I'm gonna tell Jack everything. I'm gonna tell your father, Jack, everything. So that puts Gwen into this awkward position. She's being forced to do this. She doesn't want to do it. She doesn't know how to get out of it. Maybe Xander can help get her out of it. We go to apartment number 227. 227 is on the door, and of course that's Paulina's new apartment, and she sets the alarm and she leaves. Now, what's interesting about setting that alarm is I didn't catch whether or not it was set properly or not, but somehow somebody gets in there towards the end. We'll get there in a second. We got Dr. Snyder, not Xander, Dr. Snyder and Gwen, with Xander overhearing some more. And so now Xander knows what's going on for the most part. Trip and Kayla are talking about Dr. Snyder as well, so things are developing, things are sort of marinating, if you will, and pretty soon I think Dr. Snyder is going to be all out of luck. Marlena is still talking to Allie and says that she should just be honest with Trip. Then we go to Abe and Paulina speaking some more. Chanel discovers the real floor plans when she goes to visit her mom and lets herself in somehow. So that's what I was talking about, the alarm. Did she have a key? Did she know the password? Was the apartment not locked properly? I don't have any of those answers because I didn't quite catch what happened. Did the alarm get set right, or was it just not set right? But somehow Chanel gets into the apartment. The alarm doesn't go off. She's snooping around. She sees the floor plans for the square. So whatever shady things Pauline has been planning, I think Chanel is about to find out all about them. Then what happens? Then what's going to happen? Is she going to expose that? She probably, I would think, would, seeing as it definitely does not serve her best interests. She wants to open Sweet Bits, her bakery, in the square, and she's not going to be allowed to do that if the entire thing is bulldozed and recreated in the vision of what Paulina really has in her mind. That's the way it seems anyways. So we end off basically with Trip and Allie. Allie finally says yes to dinner with Trip, and so they will be going to dinner. And all I can say is Kayla goes to Horton House, and I don't really remember what happens with that, but Xander goes to Dr. Snyder, and he is on his way there. Actually, Kayla goes to Horton House. I do remember what happens there. Kayla goes to Horton House, and she wants to talk to Gwen about Dr. Snyder, but that's all we get. Maybe we'll get some more of that on Wednesday. And the very last thing to happen is Xander goes to visit Dr. Snyder. Dr. Snyder is basically like, what can I do for you? And Xander says something along the lines of, I'm glad you asked. So there you go, everybody. A much shorter episode than the last one I did covering Monday. Just as much really happening on Tuesday. So once again, like, subscribe if you're enjoying things, and there's a notification bell if you want to be the very first to get these episodes and get a special notification that a new episode has dropped. Then that's all you got to do. Just hit that and you will be all set up, and I appreciate each and every one of you that subscribes. Thanks for listening. Feedback is the best, because that's what this is all about. We want it to be interactive. If you have any questions for me, then I will be happy to answer them for you. And, you know, the more questions, the merrier. We can do whole episodes on just questions, just history, just other stuff. I might profile some characters once in a while in special videos, ones that are returning in special videos. I was trying to say ones that are returning especially, so, you know, we could have a little bit of a brief bio on EJ or Johnny Demira or anybody that's returning recently. So that's something I'm considering for the future. It may help some people out there who may not have been watching as long, or just want like a little bit of a refresher course on certain people, places, or things. Then that's quite all right. For one thing, we could have expanded a little bit more yesterday or today about the Horton House history, because I found it funny that they've got all these stowaways in the living room when they used to. At least they may still, in theory, but they definitely used to have the Horton Center tacked on to the Horton House, and that was Kayla worked there for a long time, and that was where they would kind of help the homeless and take in wayward souls who had nowhere else to go. So I don't know that we should necessarily forget about that, but I do not know if that is still, you'd have to, you know, that would be a head writer's decision. Like, does the Horton House still exist? I don't know if the Horton House still exists. I don't know if Salem Place still exists, and that's a huge mall that's hard to just vanish into thin air. There's lots of places like that. There's the Penthouse Grill. Is there any place that you miss? That'll be how we wrap things up today. Is there any place that you miss that's not on canvas anymore? The Penthouse Grill, the Cheatin' Heart. What are some of your favorite establishments that are no longer seen in Salem? Common Ground, the coffee shop. .com, the coffee shop. Shenanigans. You know, there's new versions of Doug's Place and Julie's Place. What about that dance studio they used to have when Emilio was around? There's all kinds of. Whatever happened to that spa that was in the Horton Town Square a little bit more recently, when Vivian's Australian long-lost son that didn't make any sense came to town? I thought Vivian wasn't supposed to have any kids, so now she's had 3. But let's wrap things up right there on that note, and we've left this episode with more questions than answers, but that's also a good thing sometimes. Anyways, join us once again. Again, like, subscribe, click all those things that you're supposed to click. And I will see you next time. I hope you guys are enjoying this as much as I am. And like I said, Monday's episode was a little bit long-winded, but we're learning to play with formats, and see you next time.